and there have been some good responses to the form, and there have been some good questions that has been asked. So I will just ask some of these questions to the specific candidates, or there are some questions that are asked to like all of the candidates. So let's just start. Uh, so there is a question by Swayam Basu, and Swayam Basu asks, just give me a second. Okay, this question is for all the candidates. Most of you are proposing similar changes. What makes you think that you can do it better than the next person? Any of you who wants to go first?
Well, if nobody wants to go first, can I go first?
Sure.
So most of us propose the same problems because we're all facing the same solutions to the problems because we're all facing the same problems. And well, there's there's one thing about proving yourself that you'll be better than the other person, but the ultimate thing is that when all of us are elected, they will definitely happen because the council will have a majority. So if you think a few manifestos are similar, then you might as well vote all of them to power, because then when we take a vote in the council, we will let's assume there's a 10-member council and you've voted 5 people with same manifestos into the council, then I think that issue is going to be pretty much solved because there's already a majority in the majority in the council to take it up. And well, there is a slight problem in the framing of this question because it assumes that whoever is voted or whoever is sort of voted on their promises is going to uh, take it up themselves. What they can only do is table it in the council because every committee will have a certain representative, and it's not certain that the person who put forward this promise is going to end up in that uh, committee. So I I think at this point we're not well. People could say people could prove themselves better at others. For example, I could say I've been so and so, and I've written some articles and all of that, and been very close with the administration. I have my way through the faculty or through with the accounts department or anything, but that makes no sense when it is not certain till the first council meeting happens that I'll be the representative of a given committee.
Yeah, to add to Abhilash's point, I also think that we all have certain solutions to the generic problems, quote unquote. So to have more inputs than one and to have many points of view and many ideas is always helpful to come up with the most effective idea and most useful idea. So yeah, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing that many people have the same manifesto. But then, as you said, again, many people have the same manifesto because they are huge problems. They are common problems. So yeah, I'd say that's not a big deal.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like based on what Abhilash and Harsh said, so it's a great thing that we have so many manifestos which are converging to a single 3 or 4 problems, right? And based on what you asked, the person who answers, you asked that what sets you apart from others. Well, if you ask any of us, I think the answer would be that all of at this point, all of us want to do something rather than just sit and talk about what we are gonna do. So the thing is, so all of us are waiting to actively put forward our contributions at this point because there has been concerns regarding not enough thing done by the previous council and stuff like that. So yes, that would be the long and short.
So anybody else? Anyone from PhD or IPhD?
Can I add a little more?
Yes, sure.
Sure. So, for example, me, Sabarish, Kunjal, Aharna, and all of us who are above third year have already worked very closely with the admin. So we'll obviously have our way much better than juniors. But I would personally prefer all of these juniors getting elected because they're going to represent their batch, right? So asking this question about will you be able to is is a question of experience. It's I don't want to use the word, but it's sort of a privilege of being in campus for 5 years, which I don't want to unfairly take from my junior contestants. So let's see, they'll do a good job, who knows.
Yeah, I think Abhilash is right here. So the point of, we say, experience, ki I've been here for 2 years, I've been here for 4 years, that should not be judged against the candidate. So everyone have come here to, they think they have a shot, they think they can represent well, and that's the only criteria they have to be judged upon. Not that we have lived here for 3 years or 4 years or anything. Ultimately, it's the intentions that matter. And as far as the council works together, they gel together well, they have common interests. Again, common manifestos indirectly mean ki all of us have faced that problem. Because if none of us would have faced the problem, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. You have to be aware of something. You have to be aware of the roots, and if you raise a problem, it means indirectly that you have part or a whole of a solution and you want to implement it. So as long as the council gels in well, like experience and youth coming in together, I think that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, so I think Abhilash and Himanshu have a good point. The thing is that we all have the same kind of manifesto, even from being from different batches. So that is an opportunity to bring in a fresh breath of wind from every side. So concerning regarding that, we all have the same kind of things. It would be a good opportunity to for everyone to input their own ideas into it and like tackle the problem with all kind of means possible. So basically, it's not like it's going to be the best thing of all of us. It's going to be an addition of everything in to contribute to dealing with that matter.
Yeah,
Some of the okay, you can say. I'm sorry for cutting you
yeah,
off.
no, I was just adding to what Jasveer said. If like those of us above third year, I don't think we can expect to understand what like juniors who have only had online classes, we can't really understand what their problems might be different from ours. So maybe like they will get in a different perspective. That would be definitely better than just, yeah.
That's right. So we have heard some of the opinions of the PSMS students. So would the PhD students like to add something to that? That is Chinmay or Dhruv. Would either of you like to talk about it a bit?
Well, yeah, Chinmay, you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think Abhilash has pointed out things very well, and there's nothing that I would like to add to it.
Yeah, so if everyone is saying the same thing, I think it's good news for everyone. Yeah.
So we can move on to this next question, I think.
Yes. Yes. So on the similar lines, there is a question by Sharans to all second year candidates. Second year, like 2020 back. You have never been on campus. You have really almost zero knowledge and experience of how our college works in real life. Why should people vote you over your seniors? How would you manage when things open back offline, when you are just as confused as a fresher stepping onto the campus? Quite an interesting.
Can I go first?
Yeah, just you can.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is the good point, because like none of us representatives have been to the campus, but like so have been you. You guys have also not been on the campus. So the thing is that campus coming onto the campus, the transition would be of course an important point. But first of all, we have to improve our lifestyle as it is on this online platform, because this is college for us, right? So that's the main thing right now, I guess. Rather than focus, of course it is an important point, but rather first basically instead of focusing on what's going to come first, we should focus on improve on what it is right now. And of course, yeah, that's where the help from seniors and the previous council members come, because like we don't know what's going to happen on campus, so we'll be facing looking forward to all the cooperation from all our seniors and peers.
Can I add to this?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as the question has been put forward that we have never been on the campus and how are we going to be right on their expectations? I think the question itself has its answer, because this question strike to I think all the second year students, because we haven't been to the campus officially right now. So we don't know the life and all the problems that would be coming. But in this situation also, we were all confident about proving ourselves and standing in the election. And I think that itself proves that yes, we have the willingness to make initiatives, we have the willingness to make that sacrifices. And if the previous council did not have any such expectation of transition from the real life to this virtual life, and still they managed to put some good efforts. So I think if you have trust in us, if you have faith in us, then definitely we will be right on your expectations. And as soon as this virtual classes revive to the real campus life, we will definitely be out with a great personality, I think.
I
Right.
want to address a question like, sorry, Hashem. I would like to address a question on its merits rather than deviate from it. So the thing is, based on what Sadash asked, I would urge him or others to, if they have this concern in mind, to vote for someone who is dynamic. So if we are able to adjust to this online semester from our schools, so if you think a certain person is dynamic, he can easily adjust to other situations, take charge of the situation if any problem comes up. So if you think there is such a person in this who is nominating himself for the council positions, you should vote such a person. Like that would be my direct task.
And one more thing I would like to add to the merits, I'd say, is that since we haven't been on campus our second years yet, when we do go, whenever that is, we will be able to look at the campus in a more critical light, and so which is not diluted or which is not colored by previous experiences. So we'll be able to fish out the deficiencies more effectively, I'd say. So yeah, I'd say that answers the question. Also, the transition is gonna be a challenge as well, which we need to take up. So I think there is a need for second years as well in the council. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Okay, I guess that answers. There is another question to anyone and everyone from Bihar. What is your opinion on there being gendered spaces in hostels and washrooms, as people who don't conform to the two genders are forced to choose? What would the pros and cons of having mixed hostels and rooms? Anyone?
Well, in an ideal world, we should be having one hostel that accommodates all genders and one type of washroom that accommodates all genders. Well, there should be a starting point to this. And I think right now a few gender non-conforming people have been given hostels in their in what they in where they want, and that's a very good starting step. And we can't have a campus that is simultaneously hostile and simultaneously accommodating to gender non-conforming people. So I think first point should be that when the first years come in, we tell them, hey, look, there are non-conforming people on this campus. You should learn to put up with it. You should, in fact, to put up with it is a very. In fact, I am wrong in saying put up with it. They should just start to live like it's normal, because it is normal. And I think those sensitization programs are the first thing that should come up with regards to. And we will take the suggestions of Satrangi in this, because I am not a gender non-conforming person, and therefore I have no say in this. But I will take up suggestions of Satrangi in this. I think I put that in my manifesto as well. And I think 98 Acres will also come up with some suggestions regarding this. So I think that's the way to go forward. Let's make the council queer, man. Come on. I don't know if any of us are still queer people, but I think in the future we should make sure that more queer people come up and participate in these elections.
Just adding on to what Abhilash said, there has been quite a lot of talk about not gender segregating the hostels quite so much and allowing people to go back and forth between hostels so that we can speak more freely rather than having be so segregated all the time. And obviously we have to consider everyone's concerns of like, but I do think that allowing more open access to either, even if there are gendered spaces, not having them to be so closed off would be a good place to start. Obviously, after taking the opinion of the general student body. I know this is slightly off, slightly to the left of what the question brought up about gender non-conforming persons, but I mean it's sort of related. Sorry.
Yeah, to add to that, I think it should be. I mean, I agree totally. There should be a democratic vote in, and taking everybody's views into account, because some might be uncomfortable with it. Not uncomfortable in the sense of they're uncomfortable with the gender non-conforming people, but rather uncomfortable in the sense of, you know, using the same bathroom and stuff like that. So I think a whole student body's democratic vote should be the way to go forward with regards to this. So yeah.
As a gender non-conforming person, I would like to add that my personal opinion would be to abolish gender altogether. But I agree with most of the people's points here that we should do it democratically and also have common hostels as most of the candidates already suggested.
Okay. Anyone else wants to add anything? Or I'll move to next question.
Nothing. Just want to apologize to Pratik because I didn't notice before.
Oh, okay. Anyways, we are moving to direct questions. Like there have been questions which are asked to specific people. So first is to Sayan, I believe.
All right.
Yes. So the question is, what are your thoughts on the grading system? Does it put the students at a disadvantage? Ruchi asked this, and the similar question has been asked to Ranajay also. So.
All right. So my views on the grading system is kind of mixed, because to be honest, personally, I feel like, and based on the concerns I heard from my batchmates over some conversations, is that there is a widespread discontentment regarding the grading system because of twofold factors. One is the transparency. We don't know how many people get in each bin of the grades. And the second is regarding the grade distribution itself. Like, it's even though we don't have enough statistical evidence on this, but it is well known that not enough people are getting the higher grades A and A plus. So yes, with that said, let me come to how we can even approach to solve this problem. So here I would like to add this one thing, that the council working with 5-6 members or 10-15 people is not enough to handle this problem, which is so much ingrained in the system. You have to really convince people that okay, this is we have to change this. So here I think the participation of the student body as a whole, like the council and beyond should there must be some integration, some communication between the student body as well as the council to help make a change in this issue. So yes, that would be my answer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Ranajay, you want to add?
I would like to add basically a few things. So we have been conducting surveys independently. For the last year, there is one more survey also being conducted amongst the senior, like 4th, 5th years. But the problem is that since these surveys are anonymous, people don't fill it up often, and it's actually like only 50% of the batch, and that too, there's not proper honesty while filling up these forms. So I think if the student council carries out these surveys amongst batches and collates this data and presents in front of the Senate and convinces them, then I think it would actually solve the problem. Instead of even if I'm not a part of that Senate meeting, I would ensure that someone else who is a part of gets to present this data, because without data, this thing won't get solved. By only statements won't solve this problem. And I personally have a few data as well of various grade distributions to show that this system is not at all liberal and it's more rigid than it should be.
I would like to add slightly. So as I said, that as Ronald said, regarding the need for the statistical evidence. Also, when I mentioned the need for the student as a whole to, do something about this along with the council, I meant that we really need personal experiences where few people can come up and say, okay, I had this, but just because of this grading system, I was unable to apply to or get this. So if we can collect evidence, if we can convince the authorities that, okay, your students are actually being harmed just because of this metric, I think we might change a few things.
Can this question be open to the other candidates as well, like whoever would like to answer?
Can I just add something, like just one person asked, like whether these data are publicly available or not. So these data, since it's an independent survey, it's with a few of us, but if it's carried out in a widespread manner, then we would make the results public.
Somebody go ahead if you want to.
I answer the question.
So when you ask that, so the question was, do you think this grading system is fair or not, or like whether it's problematic? So there are two aspects, two main aspects as I see it. One being that so this the grading system we are referring to is what applies to the 2018 batch and onwards. And as Ronojoy had said, like we have there have been batch-wise surveys by individuals on how the grading has been, like being say detrimental or to them, or like do they, if people think detrimental, what were the reasons, or like where did they find it detrimental? And as he said, like it would be much more credible if this survey is done by the council itself, and like there's a likelihood that people will be more willing to fill in the forms. So now coming to the question itself, whether this grading system is say good or bad. So there are two aspects to it. So one thing is, so before 2018, the grading system which was there had only even grades. So you had like A, B, C, and D. So you had like 10, 8, and 6. So however, like now you have like odd grades as well. Like, so you have 10, grades corresponding to grade points 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. So one other difference is that before you add this grade called O, which had the same grade point as say 10. Currently only A plus is the grade which has a corresponding grade point as 10. So a lot of faculty treat A plus and like award A plus and O in the same way as they used to award, they award A plus in the same way as they used to award O in the previous years. Okay, so this is a central problem. So so the thing first is to also to see what is the whether like faculty itself like understand the difference, and like do they see the problem of this practice of equating A plus with O. So that's one thing. So that is a detrimental thing to equate A plus and O in the same level. So that's one thing. And as to odd grades itself being there, like in addition to even grades, so that I don't think is a problematic thing. It's rather advantageous. Also, there were other things brought up about the bins and the bins. There's no transparency in being, the bins being, how the bins are made and how these are arrived at. So that is really an issue. But the fact is that it's not the, so that we have to be clear, that has been an issue all over, like all through, like, say, even for the previous batches, like before the current grading system of odd grades came up. So that transparency has not been there. So neither how the bins are calculated and what exactly are the bins. So that also has to be looked into. And like that's also quite unfair. Like one doesn't know why he or she doesn't, why they do not get the the given grade, or like where they like. So yeah, I had put up in my manifesto, it is not only this, but even in the online semesters, there's this additional problem of like not faculty not showing their papers and like corrected answers if not all faculty is showing. So all these are issues linked to the grading and evaluation. So all these has to be looked into. So and I hope to look into all these issues. So yeah.
Yeah, so I have basically one point to add to it. So I guess like as Sabarish told that the faculty treat O and A plus as a reserved quantity. What the lack in transparency causes is that there are processes to safeguard the needs of like the faculty, but not the students. Because for us as students, it doesn't matter if it's a hard paper or it's an easy paper. Like if it's a hard paper, then we'll beat anyways. Even if it's an easy paper, like one of the papers, 35 students, I guess, got full marks. And this is one of the faculty said himself that 35 students got full marks, but like A plus wasn't awarded to any of them. Like from my basis as a student, the maximum I can do is get full marks in a paper. But if I am not getting the maximum possible percentage of marks that I should get, even after getting full marks, then that's just bad. So basically, yeah, increasing the transparency in system, having an actual predefined system on how the grades bin are going to be distributed actually helps the students so that the faculty cannot change it later to like safeguard their own needs. Like I need to answer to the administration that why was the paper, why I have like so many students got an A plus. That just means that the paper was too easy. So I guess an actual transparent system would make it easier for us students to actually stand firm. Yeah.
I also feel that these bin lengths aren't equal as well when it comes to the elective courses. Like, in our second year, we had equal bin lengths, but like in a particular course, I know the bin lengths are in harmonic progression, like 10, 15, 5, like that. So this professor autonomy is actually causing a lot of problems. And the shocking part is that admin isn't aware of it. I personally called Dipali ma'am and I explained like what is the problem, but they said that like we don't know anything about it. The Excel sheet which they received, they updated on the cell. That's it.
Okay, I guess that's it. Ishani, maybe take some questions, take some relevant questions from the chat and ask them. We can go with the conversation again.
The questions which are asked in the chat were basically addressed already by the candidates. And if any more question comes which hasn't been talked about, I will put them forward. And Lokesh is asking that he has a question for Jasveer, and if you can type it out, you can send your question to any of the co-hosts and we can ask the question to Jasveer.
Sure. So let me ask another question from the form. This question is by Akilan R. And this question is asked to Sabarish, Harsh, Sayon, Ranujoy. The questions are different. So first to Sabarish. You mentioned Google Forms to gauge the problem faced by the community. In my opinion, it's indeed a great suggestion and hope. However, I'd like to understand if you have considered a system that provides a response to the community. The student who fills up the Google form may expect a response regarding the issue that they raise and would like a clarification. A, that the issue raised is being considered by student council. B, or if the issue was discarded or deferred by the student council, a legitimate reason for such a decision needs to be provided. What are your thoughts on this? What mechanism have you considered to avoid such gaps in the communication between the student council and the student body and ensure that every voice is heard? Sabarish.
Okay, so yes, I have been considering like how to say like give feedback to like whatever problems are being put up. So also this can so previously when we were in campus, so when we used to be in campus, there was this ticketing system for the administration. So something analogous to that can be developed. So I have been considering that. So previously in the previous council, if someone had any issues, so usually they were mailed back. But like I think it's a better idea to say create a portal where like say you can log in or like just go check like what's the status of your query. So I have been thinking about it, and I would do that. And as also say if there are some suggestions or queries that affect everyone, so then you can I could those can be published on the council website itself. So the status of those issues will be published on the council website itself, and like without say the identity of the people being revealed, but like the issue alone and the status of it will be published on the council website itself. If it's a say 10 or 15 people have brought up an issue, and like uh, um, uh, there have been various suggestions over it, so we could like publish them and make them public as well. So if the nature of the issue is such that, so it depends on the nature of issues. So for issues that are say only relevant to a specific person, I would work to come up with say a platform where you can say log in, like say the ICER Pune SAM or something like that. Not SAM itself, but like say something analogous to that, where you can log in and like check the status of your query. Yeah. So I hope that answers Akilan's question. So if he wants any further clarifications, he can ask.
Can I add a bit?
Sure.
So I mean, it's the constitutionally mandated duty to mail the petitioners within 1 week. It's in section 3.2.4. I'm sorry. So within 1 week, if the councillors don't email you, you can move no confidence in a town hall and basically take out the council member you emailed. And because the last year's council had so many constraints and it was the first form council, it did not perform its expected duty. We were supposed to hold town halls and also send in forms and also respond to these forms and also respond to emails. I don't know how much was done because of not there. We'll release a white paper on that once we're elected. But nevertheless, further coming council under all of us will definitely hold these town halls online, offline, however it suits people, and we will definitely update you, and we will definitely follow whatever is in the constitution of mailing you once in a week, or I mean, I'm sorry, a week before a week after the petition is sent to us. So that all shall be done from now on.
Yeah, so I just want to ask a question since we are in this topic. Can I ask?
Yes, Lucas.
Yeah. So regarding, so you, Abdullah just said if the person who I wrote mail to in the council didn't reply in 1 week, we can pass no. But what if nobody from, so I wrote email to the council at icerpune.ac.in and nobody replied me even after sending multiple reminders. It like took 2 to 3 weeks to, then as a voter, what should I do? Where is the accountability? And when, because first, because the actual thing happened, it that no, they said everybody is accountable, which is basically nobody is accountable. Pointing finger at everyone means one person is accountable. Then what should as a voter I do?
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, sure.
Okay. There are two ways or 2 points I have. One point is that we have a problem with the council. The council is, I don't know where it stands in the institute scheme of things, and that's one thing we will try and address once we get elected. And second thing is that you can pass no confidence at any time you want, and if the council doesn't respond to you in a week, you can basically eliminate the whole council in one town hall. And there is a problem with there is a problem with also the student understanding of the council, that or student understanding of COSA, that only COSA or only the council or only Kalpa can hold a town hall. But a town hall is basically a public gathering, sometimes with a quorum. And if you can organize that, you can, I think you should immediately dismiss the whole council if they're not responding to you. It literally states that you can use the email that you sent as a matter of no confidence, but unfortunately we don't have a high court yet. So it is a slight problem, but I think if you manage to create it or organize a town hall and basically dismiss the council, I think when it's on paper, I think you can just dismiss all of us and make sure that we no longer exist. I think the EC will take over and conduct another elections, or you can have a quasi council later on. But there is a possibility of a no confidence, absolute possibility of no confidence, where you can dissolve the whole council on grounds of non-responsiveness.
Sure.
Since the question was, Akhilan's question was also addressed to me, so like I would like to answer that. Basically, he asked about, so you guys have plans about how you will put queries in, but how do you plan to, actually take actions and keep others informed? So in that regards, as I mentioned in my manifesto also, I would seriously like to utilize the mailing system we have and basically keep everyone informed about what's happening. Doesn't matter, now the questions about what the council is doing is arising because maybe the previous council was kind of a closed thing. So here, as I have been reiterating, so as I would like to reiterate, keeping the whole student body in the loop or as secondary members of the council would be something I would really like to see. So it's just not only us making decisions, us thinking about what we can do. We can ask opinions, make the larger student body somehow interact with the council and facilitate decision making inside the council. So yes, that would be like my view in this.
Yes.
I have a small clarification from the organizers. So could the no, contestants like reply to questions in chat also, or like do we only unmute and reply? So the organizers.
Yeah, in order to like make this more streamlined, it would be better if you could unmute and reply, because otherwise the questions might get lost in chat. If you're
Also,
replying
this
there.
gets uploaded on YouTube. If you speak it out loud, then it will reach to a greater audience. So we will encourage you to.
Okay, to add to Sayan, I'd say that, and to everybody who spoke before, I'd say that the lack of Utkarcha was brought the question of the lack of accountability. Right? Yeah. So I'd say having a bit more structure and a flow of power in the student council might help. So right now we only have a general secretary. Maybe we could have a vice general secretary and so on and so forth. And above the student council, I guess COSA could also be the what do you call it? The organization that overlooks the council. So if the council doesn't respond, then you can maybe mail COSA and just, as Abhilash pointed out, just fire the whole student council and impeach them. So yeah, I think that's quite mutable and changeable. And also, as Sayan pointed out, the student council last year, given that it was the first student council, was quite the black box. They didn't really let us know what they were doing, I guess. So maybe we could put on a notice board or a sort of accounts book, not really accounts, but then you get the point. Where logbook. Right? So logbook to keep a log of all the actions taken by student council, and maybe look back on it whenever required. So and make it public as is natural. So that's
also, I would like to point out that currently, despite the fact that the general secretary has a title, they don't actually have any extra power in the student council. They just have extra responsibility. So it's like a common misconception. So if we were to change that, obviously we could change that, but right now no single member of the student council has any more power than any other, which again, there are two sides to this issue. It can be helpful for every single member of the student council to have the same weight in decisions, but that also leads to, as Utkarsh said, difficulty in holding a single person accountable rather than the student council as a single body.
I think again we could take a democratic vote within the council to see which path to take.
So just as Kunjal said, that general secretary don't have extra power but do have extra responsibility. I just like to have a view of other candidates on their interpretation of the powers and responsibility of the general secretary. I'm also, just a second, I'm also putting in the chat what constitution says about general secretary, because I will first like to hear from Abhilash, because he was closely associated with the making of the constitution. Because last general secretary Nikita Gupta said to me in the public platform that, to quote, the general secretary does not have additional power in the council. I do not have more accountable than any other council member. This is so basically the what I interpret, what I read, it is from what she said, that general secretary neither neither have more responsibility, neither they have more power. But I interpret it in different way, as Kunjal said. So maybe other people can share their thoughts about what is the power of the general secretary and responsibility of general.
Because you wanted to hear from me first. I think so. The constitution clearly states that they are of the same rank as other people. I
Yes.
personally don't think, or I don't think anybody thinks. I think even in my summary when I wrote it 2 years ago or 1 year ago, I remember mentioning that general secretary doesn't have any extra powers. So you can't. A person with no extra power cannot be more responsible for an action because they simply are equally empowered to take action on that same thing. So there is a very nuanced problem here, because it comes with a titular role. People tend to email them more, and because they email them more, they are supposed to act on it. So that is a slight problem, and given that they don't have much power, except that the constitution states that they. So I think the term general secretary itself is a misleading. It should be something like speaker, because that's what they're doing. Essentially, they're somewhat like the Lok Sabha speaker or the Rajya Sabha speaker. And given that they're allowed to put things on the agenda and make sure that all agendas are accommodated, that's pretty much the role they have. And if you email them something and they put that on the council agenda, I think their job there is done. But if you email them something and they didn't put it on the agenda, then their job is not done. You can hold them accountable at any time you want, because that is a specific uh, role of the general secretary. And if you email somebody else and they don't put it on the agenda or communicate to the GS, then you hold them accountable as well, because their job is to tell the GS that, hey, look, we have to put this on the agenda. GS has no role in not taking an agenda or taking an agenda. They just have to schedule it. That's pretty much it. And given that, I think all council members are equally accountable. If you want, if there's a public vote that the general secretary should have more powers, I think most candidates here are up for it. I shouldn't be
No,
upset with that.
so yeah, can I just clarify a bit? So you yourself, I'm not saying that every other for every other thing in the council, general secretary is accountable, but there are specific duties mentioned for the general secretary in the constitutions.
Yes.
In that way, if you compare among the all other members, they are accountable for their things. There are this whatever I shared just now in the paragraph. It mentioned bunch of duties.
Correct.
For the student council, and constitution doesn't mention these duties to any other member of the council. They are for the general secretary.
Correct.
For example, publishing the minutes of the council meeting.
Correct.
That is the duty of the general secretary.
Alone. Yes.
And this was the point I mailed general secretary last year. And to that thing, I got this reply that I held her accountable, because according to constitution, it is general secretary's duty.
Right.
But the reply I got that they are not accountable, and another than I got reply from the council, means it was from the personal mail of council members, but it didn't mention how many members approved that mail, so I didn't really know whose opinion that was.
Right.
So that's why. So let's
Make me GS. I'll write you minutes all day long.
I would like to just one small point. So again, you have put this whole paragraph here that the GS has all of these responsibilities, and that's true. But again, all of these responsibilities merely account to bookkeeping, essentially. Whatever they get, they are supposed to put together and put forward to the council, and ensure that the council knows that it is there. The council knows that this issue is there. They have to put it on the schedule and sort of
publishing minutes of the meeting is not bookkeeping.
And also,
On,
like
I will
a small point that you did mention, that the general secretary's mail. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no single general secretary email ID, right? That is it is named that, but it is an email ID that is accessible to all council members, and therefore all council members essentially have the responsibility to look at it. And
is it? I mean, I don't know if I will really.
All emails from the general secretary are signed by at least half the council.
No, I'm not saying. I am saying that does everybody has access to it? Can everybody look what email is received? And if yes, then why is the name of the email general secretary? Why it's not named after council? When the constitution says that general secretary don't have any power, then why we have email after general secretary and not after any other member of the council?
I'm all in favor of calling it a council email and not a general secretary email.
But anybody knows about it, means from the history or whatever, because previous council never told us about it.
So
unfortunately,
Sabrish, is that you?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go ahead, because I've been speaking a lot.
Yeah, okay. So I do agree that, like, if that what to say, that nomenclature is creating confusion, it needs to be changed. So even otherwise, so like when you send out a mail, usually a person signs. So like that's so like, and since the general secretary is tasked with bookkeeping, as like say you have pointed out, and as Kunjal also has pointed out, by the constitution. So there is nothing wrong in the general secretary signing it. So also for functions of bookkeeping alone, and say which can include releasing of minutes, if the general secretary is held accountable, then I think that's a very constitutional thing, so as to say. So but like otherwise, if like say if the decisions itself are delayed, like say in the council, so I think in those things cannot be, I mean for those things the general secretary alone cannot be held accountable additionally. So you can hold the entire council accountable if decisions are getting prolonged or something like that. So for those things you can't hold the general secretary accountable. So only for functions of bookkeeping, which shall include releasing of minutes. So if say like if the thing is that the status of an issue is unresolved, and like say that has not been communicated, you can hold the general secretary accountable for that. But if one is to say that like why is it not unresolved, or like why is it the thing not taken up for discussion, I don't think the general secretary is accountable for it additionally, like more than the entire council is responsible for that. So I mean, this is as the council current, I mean sorry, this is as the constitution currently stands. Okay, yeah.
Sabrish, and Abhilash and Kunjal and everyone who's talking the general secretary thing, since you all have almost unanimously agreed, and since the constitution sort of says it, that the general secretary is more of a moderator / speaker role than any kind of an actual administrative or any kind of special position, would it not make a lot more sense to have the general secretary elected by the council and not by the student body? Because students typically vote for manifestos, and making the general secretary, given that the general secretary continues to have their current powers and responsibilities, this current roles, then when students vote for the general secretary, when the most popular vote becomes the general secretary, then it only gives us what the most popular manifesto is. But given that the general secretary themselves do not have any additional power, then that's not much use. If the general secretary is truly a moderator / speaker role, then does not make more sense for someone who can moderate / someone who that the council feels would do a better job scheduling, moderating, taking minutes, be a better candidate for the general secretary than it being left to the people.
Yeah, sure. So can I go on this first? So, yeah. So I do welcome your suggestions, Udito. So like I'm personally okay with your suggestion. So like I think most others also would be, they can clarify their position. So once say the subset of us are into the council, I think we could like look into these issues, like of like how best to select the general secretary, and like say if we need like a few people who are more accountable than the entire council itself, and like even the very nomenclature of whether to call them general secretary. So these issues can be looked into, and like we would communicate our the council's joint opinion on it, and we could like I think so this would be a major change to the constitution, so it might need to be like ratified by the entire student body as well. So this could be taken up. I personally agree with your suggestion, so others can clarify with their position on it.
Another thing, when we're talking about the minutes, so I know this only because I spoke to members from last time, because we didn't really have a town hall, and so I don't actually know what the official intricacies of the council functioning is apart from through people. But what happened was, every time the general secretary or anyone from the council wanted to communicate with the general student body, you needed a certain number of votes from the council. And the thing is, a lot of times, for example, if say the student council members had to give us minutes of the Senate meeting, or have to give us a brief summary of what happened in that meeting, you'd need a sign of everyone on the council, which typically took days, I think. And that's unnecessary, because I mean, what would someone not in the Senate vote on anyway? And two, it delayed. For example, very recently, although the council had technically been dissolved, when there was a Senate meeting where it was apparently discussed that the third years or the 2019 batch would be brought back to campus, we were supposed to get a summary or minutes from the council about the decisions taken, but this was actually not. I mean, it's been months, and we still haven't actually gotten a summary about what went down in that Senate meeting from the council. And we heard of it from like personal sources, which really shouldn't be how we hear about it. And we got like a one-liner from the dean of ACADS on the bottom of some PDF meant for something completely else, and completely different, whatever. But yeah, could there be less bureaucracy when bureaucracy is not necessarily necessary?
Yeah, so shall I go on this again? So
Wait, can I go first?
Okay, sure. Ablash.
I request to keep it short, and this issue is getting long. Please keep
Sure.
it.
I'll just keep it very brief. So minutes of Senate meeting. If the GS attends, let the GS do it. If the GS doesn't attend, whoever the council sends, let them do it. Minutes of council meetings, I think the GS has the absolute power to write minutes, send it over. We don't need a vote. So we will, in this council, we will not take a vote to send minutes from the council to the students.
But shouldn't that be a council decision?
Okay, so yeah,
Sure.
so I'll give my take on this. So the thing you mentioned about like say a majority or 10 people ratifying the minutes that has to be that is going to be sent out to the general student body. This is not something that was constitutionally mandated. Like this is something the previous council came up for themselves. So and one could have possibly made the necessary change in the constitution as well. But like personally, I think so. As Abhilash said, say for the Senate meeting or like say for the respective committee meetings, whoever attends, like all those who attend the meeting, or like all those who are part of that, I mean, student representatives to that committee needs to ratify that. I don't think the entire student council needs to ratify the minutes of those meetings. But like it is not only I mean, constitution not only mandates that the Senate meetings are I mean, the minutes of the Senate meetings are released, but even say if the council members, like 10 of them, are going to have a Zoom call and like discuss something, even minutes of those things have to be released. So basically minutes of the council meeting. So for that, I think we could my opinion here is that like it would be good to for a majority to ratify it, but then I think we could add a provision in the constitution itself saying that, like, say for such and such decisions, like all council the member of the council has to reply back in so many days. You like make a or else like say action be taken against them or something like that. So they have to approve it within so and so days. So I think that's rather that's something I would go for, rather than saying like the GS unanimously writing and releasing the minutes by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Okay.
GS writes, yeah.
I believe once the council gets elected, actually, we can just discuss about this.
We'll release a white paper on this also. On the
No, but see, as a voter, I need to know what candidate thinks about this important issue, because see, just this Abhilash brought out the point of like what he thinks, like GS can write not the committee specific, but the council meeting GS can write the minutes of the meeting unanimously and send it out. But I don't agree with that. So because doesn't it giving GS a more power? GS needs to release the minutes of meeting, but not unanimously. Because no other GS has to take because it is a council meeting. Everybody said something on it, not only GS said on it. And when we are writing about what everybody said, we need at least not consider everybody, but at least the majority.
So I have a slight disagreement on this, because by participating in a committee meeting, you understand, you consent to being minuted. That is how any democracy.
No, I am not talking about committee meeting. I am talking about council meeting.
Council meeting. I'm sorry if I missaid that.
Hmm.
So by participating in a council meeting, you would naturally consent. I think that is how all parliaments across the world work. And by all parliaments across the world, the speaker takes minutes, or there are actually sub registrars and all of them taking minutes, and they take live minutes, and the consent of the parliament is not considered at all. So I have a disagreement on this, but we can debate this. I think once we are elected, or if you want to elect me or any of us, you can write to us saying take a decision like this, and we'll definitely take it up.
I want to add a short comment here, like if it's okay. I mean, if we still have the time to answer this.
We're really short on time. It's already 7:40.
Okay.
Can we just move on to the questions put up in the chat now?
And before that, Akilan has been raising his hand. And if you, Akilan, if you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can just post your question in the chat box. You can take your question first.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so Abhilash mentioned the point of accountability, that you have the, I mean, you have the ability to, dissolve the council, raise a town hall meeting. But isn't that a rather extreme stance? I wouldn't do that. That is not, I mean, just because I send a mail and they don't respond, that is rather an extreme stance. I wouldn't do that at all. Is there a better, like, how would I phrase, a softer way for accountability? Like, just contact a professor and then they tell you to do it.
I'll go first. So ICER's constitution is somewhat in between a participatory democracy and a representative democracy, in the sense that the issues that they take up is in form of participatory democracy, but the action they take is in form of representative democracy, where they go into some bodies and represent the issues that are taken up. So in this case, when you email someone and they don't respond to you, there is, if in case there's a hierarchy, that also becomes a slight problem, because then we'll forever be constrained on the powers of the student council. So let's say we put it under COSA, then if some decision has been taken by the council, there might be a situation where we will, be under COSA and not really take action on it, or be less empowered. So if we want to make it more autonomous, we should become this body that can be dismissed in snap of a finger by the student body. So this is my extreme opinion, and
Okay.
if people contest it, I'm happy to understand and take it up and debate or even take up their opinion.
Hello.
So may I?
Actually, I want to add one point here. Not this is not regarding the continuation of that Vilas was saying. I wanted to add the point that previously there was one system in the ISER that before the council there was a floor representative in the campus. So, but there was huge participation for the floor representative. But this year, sadly, the participation was very low. I don't know what was the reason. So I think it can be increased. There was incentive for the floor representative previously. The incentive was the give the fee concession on the hostel fee. So I would like to suggest to who will be the member in the council. So they should give some incentive to the council member, so that from the next year there will be more participation in the council member. So please take a note on that. I will also write a mail for that in the upcoming time.
Thank you very much for your comment. And next, we can take a question from the chat box, I guess. We have a question from Sultan Nazir. And
Yeah. So right before that, there was this question from Lokesh along similar lines. Lack of initiative by clubs. Almost all the clubs face problems of lack of participation. Can you give any clear pointers on which club should have done what better? Also, have you been in coordinator or even volunteer positions for any clubs? So as far as to have confidence in your opinion. And this question is directed towards Jasveer.
Can you repeat the question, please? So I can get a few minutes. Yep.
Sure, yeah. So lack of initiative by clubs. Almost all the clubs face problems of lack of participation. Can you give any clear pointers on which club should have done what better? Also, have you been in coordinator or even in volunteer positions for any of the clubs so far as to have confidence in your opinion?
Yep. So I guess for the participation, right now the only club that I've been in participation is the CSI Lit Club. I'm a member of the CSI participation team. That's the crime scene investigation thing. And just about the club, I think the club's going good. We have like regular weekly meetings regarding the competition. And so of course, yeah, I don't have any opinions as a coordinator because I'm not really a coordinator, but I think, yeah, as I stated in my video too, there has been lack of events held by the clubs. So I think one way to improve that would be we can hold meetings as a student council with all the club coordinators and actually hold interdisciplinary inter-club events.
Excuse me, I would like to interrupt. The council says that the constitution says that the student council has no say in the club activities and they cannot like interfere in the business of the student clubs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like at least I think we as a council meeting can at least give us suggestions to the student council coordinators.
Well, the constitution says that you cannot do that as the council.
So I think if that has to be done, one needs to say that they will amend the constitution first. Like that's section 2.5 in the constitution, student clubs. So it clearly says the council shall make no decision prohibiting in any degree the free pursuit of any student clubs of their stated activities of interest. So in order to even give suggestions, I think like one needs to amend that clause before like say going ahead with that. And yeah, so
but I personally think, and I think this was taken up by the previous council also, there was this idea of a cultural council wherein they create a body of all club heads and sort of make their decisions by themselves. And so they're not really under in any circumstances the student council. They're just a body that exists autonomously, and the student council said we'll help with the development of this body. So if the clubs think that if the student council can do something about this, then we might as well do it. Because over the past 2 days I spoke to about six or seven club heads and asked them if they had any issues regarding their club, and most of them put up issues of budget or reimbursement and things like that, which are very well under the ambit of the council. And if we still have a recommend, not a role of recommendation, but a role of suggestion, I would say. We can obviously suggest things, but the question was that I think Pratik, right? I'm sorry, who raised this? Lokesh raised
Lokesh.
is sort of I mean, we don't have the obligation to answer it. I was general coordinator of Karan, then general coordinator of Disha, and right now I'm running for GS. And Sabrish has also been so many activities, and Kunjal has been general coordinator of Karma and Lit Club. So all of us have been in ISL public life for quite a while, but I think we don't want to answer this.
No, my question was in reference to Jasveer's interview, in which he said ki the clubs haven't done enough. So I
Right.
would like his suggestions on what do
Okay,
they
sure.
need to do, not as in ki you do these things.
Right.
But
Okay.
I would like to listen to his suggestions of what the clubs need to do more, or what would he would suggest them as a member of the council.
So yeah, I can't of course guarantee that they work this out. I can only give my suggestions, I guess. So one of the suggestions that I have is like we can actually like of course increase the number of events that each club is holding, and we can also have inter-club events. For example, if it's for like we had the Pride Month right now, so the Lit Club actually holds a lot of events about readings of reading of LGBT matter, literature matter. So for example, we can hold an intersection with the drama club where the Lit Club members can actually go through good literature material, make some scripts and give them to the drama club. And then they with the drama club can actually make a good piece to come together. So this will not only just improve increase the number of events that we are having as a whole, but will also help to increase the inter-club
Didn't the
connection.
drama club already do a production for the Pride Month?
Yep, that was an example. The Pride Month was an example. We can have like any number of events like
So
these, and
are
not
there
just
any
between
new
the lit.
suggestions other than doing the things that they are already been doing?
So yeah, I guess for example.
Okay, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah. So for example, right now the Mimamsa, with the Mimamsa mains going on, the Mimamsa can actually have like, for example, we can have 3 club coordinator. Like, yeah, we can have 3 club cooperation. The Mimamsa club can actually state like what they want from a video to increase their publicity. Like I am part of the Mimamsa publicity thing. So yeah, we can actually, the Mimamsa publicity team can tell the Lit Club about what kind of a script they want, what kind of the points that they want in their publicity meet. And then the Lit Club can actually come up with a good script for that and then give it to the drama club. So like this, we can have a lot of inter-club activities to spread awareness about the clubs or to spread just general.
Yeah, I wouldn't cross question that. Thank you.
Okay, Ishani, you can ask Sultan's question.
Can
Yeah,
we
so
have
one
Shreyas's
question.
question? Can we have
Yes,
Shreyas's
has been raising
question?
his hand for a while.
He's been raising
Okay,
his hand for
Shreyas,
so
you
long.
can ask your question.
Yeah, so this would probably be a more technical question. So correct me if I'm wrong. This time the nominees are lesser than they were last time. Is this going to affect the final size of the student council? If yes, then how?
Okay, so
I think EC should take this.
yeah, Ishi should take this, and like we have been
Well,
mailing
obviously
and
we
like,
can't have the number we had last year because the number last year was 18 and we have 17 nominees.
yeah.
Assuming we have a 11-12 council, I think we'll have a lower number, obviously. 11-12 is a number I'm estimating, but if the EC thinks otherwise, let them do it.
And can Sai sir answer this, because I think he's in the meeting, and
yes, sir.
Because I don't know, last council has 18 members. This council, I think 17 people are standing. So why not elect all of them unopposed? Means I don't know why we are reducing the size of council. Like number of voters haven't reduced. I think in fact they are increased most probably. So why reduce the size of the council?
My personal opinion here would be if you don't reduce, I mean, if you do elect people unopposed, then what's the point of people's power in this thing? Like, what's the point of democracy here? If you're just going to vote people in without, going through the elections.
So there is a small problem here. Let's assume I am totally in favor of taking everybody in because I want to be in. But nevertheless, let's assume we're all in, and we have to go to the Senate and say, look, uh, the grades of 2018 onward batch is problematic. You'll have to change it, and they'll be like, why? And we'll be like, people asked us to, and we'll be like, which people? Because quite frankly, no people elected us. There should be a people for
No.
to be a people's
No,
representative.
I think democratically, if you get elected unopposed, still you represent people, and it is not like undemocratic way to win the election. It is very much democratic and very much acceptable way
I
to
mean,
win
so
a
what I'm
election.
basically suggesting is like change the election procedure or something. So I think the best person is the election committee.
Yeah,
would
yeah,
just
I think
choose the best person
Sai
to answer
sir,
this.
Sai sir can answer this question. I think he is in the meeting. That's why.
No,
Direct.
this was actually
And
right before the disease.
I think Sai sir speaking.
you want me to answer this? This is a direct question to the EC about what would be
Yeah.
the final numbers for the committee council, but that's something that we cannot answer because we are just conducting an election, right? And it's the student body with a student body that needs to elect its representatives. The election means that there are going to be a count. Not all of you will get in through. There would be unpopular candidates, there will be popular candidates. Not all of you are going to vote for all the candidates equally in the same manner, right? So the distribution has to be figured out from the votes that the candidates get. So I would say that the candidates should get the voters to vote, and then because only then would we have a proper representation. If all of you go through, then as was mentioned, one is how would you identify a general secretary? Would it be the 17 or 18 of you who would decide on this, or would it be, because then it would not be the voice of the students' body.
I have one question.
Mhm.
So, how exactly was the size of the student council determined in the last elections, the first student council?
I was not part of that process, but I've heard that it was based on the numbers that were obtained and the votes that was obtained by the different candidates.
Actually,
I would not go into the details of how the previous number was achieved because I'm not privy to that. What I can say is that whatever was done then was based on the constitution laid out. We would follow the constitution that exists. We will not, if whatever happens will be something that will be transparent to all of you. Yeah.
So can I
Mhm.
sort of want to add.
Yeah.
So last year, I think the number was announced in the first town hall after the candidates were finalized, and the number of seats was announced to be half of the BSMS candidates and roughly 1/3 of the PhD candidates. I'm
PhD
not sure if I'm
candidates,
right,
yeah.
but I think that was how it was elected. And so sir said that the popularity will make sure.
But we need a criteria of popularity
What
before.
I mean by popularity is the number of votes each
Yes,
candidate gets in terms of the number, right? It's 1 to 17 or
Yes.
1 to 15 for BSMS and 1 to 2 for PhD.
Yes, yes, sir. But I would also like to add here that, like, say we need a criterion for saying these students are popular based on the elections, or after the election. So I think the criteria is usually like in any election is fine. Decided before the elections itself, like the criteria of popularity. So
No, it is
say,
not. Then you don't
Like
require an
cutoff.
election.
sorry.
If the criteria is and what is popular is already decided, then you don't require an election for the candidates, right?
No, you need the votes to decide like what is the popularity of the specific candidate. But to come up with a criterion itself, I don't think you need the
So
election.
the constitution only says that the council should not exceed a number of 30.
No, sir. There is also an equation
Yeah.
in the election section, in section 3, I believe.
So what does it say?
It has an equation that says the number of votes to be elected is the number of votes the candidate gets by a number of. I'm sorry. The number of votes to get elected for a candidate is the total number of votes by number of seats plus 1 plus 1 as the no as
So this is you understand the reason for that equation, right?
yes, yes.
No,
And
but like there is number of seats.
that equation itself tells that we need an election.
No,
No,
but
sir,
like
but
there is
to
number of
find
seats
the
there. We need to decide the number of seats before the election.
because
That we will decide.
So that's
It's not
what
number
we
of
have been
seats. I thought
asking.
it's number of candidates.
No,
it
there
is
is
number of
given number of seats in the constitution. So section 1.1.2. So it says cutoff is equal to total votes by total seats plus 1. I mean, total votes divided by total seats plus 1 plus the whole plus 1.
Yeah. So we'll do
So
that.
yeah, so we need the number of seats to decide even the cutoff, and like that shall serve as a popularity criterion, like if you might want to call it.
Well, we can do that, but that will also depend on the number of representation for gender, and also it is we will have to wait for the votes to come in. Then only can we decide.
I think the code code that was used last year, I think it naturally transferred the votes first to female candidates and then transferred it as
And
soon as the representation was ensured. So
and I
the
also
number of students was actually determined before, and the number of
yeah, but as I mentioned this time, the numbers are so low.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if we start with saying that half, and I think we will not be able to have a council. So,
so we will have oh, this is my personal suggestion, but this should be in consensus with the student body, that we can elect the female candidates and have one more female vacant seat, therefore that for which the elections will be conducted later. And
yeah, but these are
very strong
very subjective, and so we will stick to the constitution.
Sure.
And then I think that would help all of us, right?
Abhilash.
So I would again make this one is the right now the number of people who are participating is itself low. So I don't know what happens when the number of voters are going to be very low. So it is something that but there is a solution for everything. But I'm saying that the candidate should actively campaign for also. Yeah, I had sent a message earlier about how the candidate should also get voters to attend this meeting for their conveying your thoughts to them. So it's the same about getting elected also.
Surya, you had something?
So basically, look, we had an 18-member council last time, if I'm not wrong. And I feel like if we're going to drastically reduce that number, or even like significantly reduce that number, just because there aren't enough candidates, just because we don't want to, quote unquote, someone said on chat, give people a free ride into the council, I feel like that's pretty counterproductive, because that sort of means that we're prioritizing elections over the council itself. I mean, tomorrow, if you had even fewer number of candidates, would you reduce the size of the council even more? Does this not mean that the members of the council this time will have to work more than last time to simply live up to that level? And we know there was a lot other things that you guys agree that should have been done by the last time's council, which you want to incorporate on top of the work that they already did. On top of that, if we reduce the size of the council, the people who actually do get elected are going to have to work harder, or are going to end up being less efficient. And all of this is simply because we don't want to give someone a free ride into the council. There is no real reason as to why the council number should be reduced. The fact that no one else stood means that they don't want to oppose the existing set of people who are actually standing, which it itself is a show of the faith of the people, of the general student body. The choice to reduce the number of people being elected into the council simply because there isn't a very large competition to get elected into the council seems very arbitrary.
But should we have a lower cutoff for people who shouldn't be elected?
Again, so
I still don't get why we're so hypothetically. If we had 50 people and back then, so let's say it wasn't a 1 year thing. Let's say we'd been having elections for 3 years and we had 50-50-50, and we'd been electing a 20-member council. Next year we get 25 and we say, oh, now we need to have a 10-member council. That seems, if we need 20 members to run a council, then you need 20 members to run a council. Why does it matter how many people applied? Why is reducing the number of council members? I mean, if you think that it doesn't show that people have faith in it, it's not like they're going to work negatively in the council. Why is having an extra pair of hands on the council a bad thing?
To
May I-
address that, the argument that they're not working negatively is actually false, because I did speak to some of those council members on the last council, and they did say that many members were dead weight. They were not pulling their own weight. So yeah, that's
I would like to.
not quite.
I mean,
may I add here?
that's kind of an inevitability then in that case, because there were a lot of people who stood last year, and yet you say that there were people who were dead weight, as you say. Again, I can't know how valid this is because these are anecdotes which you are giving. But if people who are elected out of a wide pool still have the possibility of not doing work or doing work, that really does that is kind of irrelevant, right? It almost actively goes against their point that it will be bad to give someone a free ride, because clearly being elected didn't guard against that.
And also, one more thing is the argument that a small student council will work less efficiently is also a bit presumptuous, because as a bureaucracy point was brought up earlier in the meet, if you need a majority vote, then a smaller council works more efficiently, because
No, I don't have an issue with a smaller council. I'm not saying that a smaller council is necessarily inefficient. I'm just saying that if you thought that a particular number for the council was efficient first, reducing that number just because there aren't enough candidates is not right. I mean, if there is a valid reason, if you're reducing it due to efficiency problems, that makes sense, because sure, for whatever reason you have to believe that. But if you're reducing it only because there aren't enough candidates, then it need not be an efficiency thing. Maybe you had the optimal number and you're reducing it right now for no real reason. And yeah, what Kunjal said, like just because, like last year, we had 40 people and out of which 18 were elected, and still you say that someone said there was dead weight. How are you assuming that there won't be dead weight in the 8 you elect out of 20? And if there's dead weight, would you not want to have more people to help you lift that dead weight?
Of course, I'm not saying that they won't be.
May I add this whole question? I don't really think the candidate's opinion matter, or like the candidates even have a say in deciding that. So, I mean, at this point, as the constitution stands, like the election committee is going to take a decision on it. I'm really not sure. Like, is this even where candidates have to be sharing their opinions about?
Thank you, Sabreesh. In the interest of preserving
I would
this as a Q&A session.
Just give me 30 seconds.
I'd like to say one thing very quickly. So I have something very pressing, something unavoidable, which has come up. I have to leave now. Host, do I have the permission to leave this now?
Yes, maybe.
So was that serious?
I don't know if you.
If you have to,
if you have to leave, then
you can
sure.
have a look at the.
Right, it is quite pressing. Like I need to, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
So
Sure.
in the interest of
Thank you,
time,
Ravi.
okay.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
bye, Sharon. In the interest of time, we can take 2 more questions, and then if time permits, we can take on the debate further. But is it possible to take the questions first, because they have been in the chat box, and Shreyas has been raising his hand for quite a while. Okay, so one question that has been asked quite some time back, that is, can the candidates say if they would push for amplifying voices from people marginalized by caste, class, or gender, etc., who may be vulnerable in academia in general and also within the campus? Would the candidates like to speak a bit about this?
So
I like to go.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my internet is very sketchy right now. So I do not know if this will answer the question completely, but as I myself being a minority in the college, I have faced discrimination. It's been 4 years, 4th year now going on. So I've also faced discrimination on levels which I'm not going to name names or anything, but I've also faced discrimination in the system, and there are several incidents where I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't it wasn't discrimination in the sense that I was getting my voice was being not like heard, or I was being cut off or something. It was more in the sense that I would just I would sense this feeling of bias among the people against me. And while there most of these incidents which occurred were happened at a time when the student council was not existing, and I for once did not have anyone to like approach or look up to or like talk to about these problems, because who would I go to, who would listen to me? And back when the student council started in the first year of its running, I well I sort of took a step back, saw how the system was working, and I got to learn about the inner mechanisms, like I said this before. So that gives an idea of how the system actually works. And now that I'm running for this, I'm hoping to I'm running for the student council this year. I personally would like to make a change in the sense that at least for the people who are facing discrimination coming after us, I think I would at least like to be a body which people can approach to, because there's always this stigma which people will have, like whom to talk to, whom to approach to, and maybe the people they approach to will not be the right person for that moment. Maybe the people who they approach to will give them the worst direction, or like give the worst possible decision to take up further, and worse advice or whatever. But what I would like to personally do is that, because I faced this before as well, I think I would like to create a safe space for those people so that they can approach at least me, at least us, or at least even me, if they're facing any kind of discrimination, any kind of on the basis of caste, gender, whatever it be. And I think there is also this problem where like the if things get too severe, people can actually approach the IC for if it gets to that kind of severity. But one problem, one real major flaw is that we are only the student council is only invited uh, to be a part of the IC under invitation, if I'm not wrong. Like unless we are not invited, we cannot actually be a part of their meetings, which just leaves us to at such a disadvantage, because what are we exactly supposed to do if when we come up with a problem in our hands which we are not able to handle? And I understand that there's this whole process of training required to be a part of the IC. There's a whole system to it as well. And if that is all that it takes to be a part of IC as well for the student council, I think I would like to be a part of. I would like to go through the entirety of it, and just so that people who, at least for this year that I'll be running for the student council, I would like to make sure that the people who are going through this troubles or like this troubling time, at least they won't be alone in it, and they can approach us or even me and any of us. I think all of us would agree that we would like to be a safe space for these people, for anyone in general. But yeah, I would like to at least work towards that.
Be proud of yourself, man.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Ning said, making like big changes on an institutional level might take a lot of time. So to I think what we can do at this point is to let students know and let them be involved in like participating in the IC for starters. So like one way to do that could be to have a student leg of the IC, so that at least the student body can approach students and not be reluctant to approach people who are not as they're not as comfortable talking to. That is one thing that we could work towards.
So
Yes.
if I can add.
I just want to add just one line. I think like we should actually uplift our people. Like instead of uplifting their own egos, that should be our first priority. That only brings social justice.
Right. So if I can add, First of all, Ningyong, please be proud of yourself for standing.
Abhilash, be more louder. Like we are
Oh,
not. able to-
sorry, I think my mic fell. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You're
first
fine.
of all, Ningnung, please be proud of yourself for standing in these elections. We're happy that you stood. Uh, so actually, when last year the constitution came up, we spoke to the election committee and the committees that ended up framing the constitution and asked them why IAC is only invitational, and they basically said in issues of student related harassment or anything of that sort, they will invite the student compulsorily. And that has been the process even before the existence of student council. There was a student member in the IC who was invited at all cases except when the student wanted confidentiality and approached just one member of the IC. At all times, the student member was invited and shall be invited even from the council. So that is one thing. And in my manifesto, I have given a special space to make the campus a safe space for all possible minorities or underprivileged people. And we actually thought of this last year to bring out an SCST cell. And also last year we thought of making Satrangi an actual cell in the ICER body and not just a club. I haven't got an update on it, but I somewhere heard that it was sort of made a cell. I am not sure about this, but I should confirm. But we should also begin making an SCST cell, and also that there is a financial assistance committee that is coming up. I spoke to the chair of that financial assistance committee, and she said she will ensure that there's student representation on it. And she said we can bring 2 students in and ensure that no student goes unsubsisted or gets help when they need. So at all levels, I think all of us are sensitive to this, and we will take up and amplify the voices of any marginalized student in any level possible and bring them to bring and give them justice.
So just to add to Abhilash's point, so he mentioned about the SC/ST cell and like similarly an OBC cell shall the council should work towards constituting one. So these are like even there are government regulations to have them in an institute such as ICER. So we would definitely work towards instituting those at ICER. And also like currently there's this grievance redressal cell, like but the functions of which is not exactly known, and it doesn't cater to specific or specialized problems like specific minorities might be facing. So we would get updates on it, and like if necessary we would push for constituting like bodies to address specific issues faced by specific minorities. So 98 acres have many teams investigating on like issues such as caste and etc. So we would definitely take up their recommendations and like in like while making decisions on these things. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if there is an actual sensitization and a whole process of going through to be a part of the ICCL, I think that it should be mandatory, in fact, for all the members of the student council to go through that process, so that we as a whole can be actually approachable, an approachable symbol that any person can approach, like approach to address the grievances, like not for just this purpose. I think there should be at least a few pre-decided and amended later issues that the student all the members of the student council should be gone through mandatorily, like mental awareness or caste distribution and every other thing.
Anyways, there are a specific question to Avilash VA from third year.
So Pritam, before that, can we take the question from Shreyas? He has been raising his
Yes,
hand
yes.
for a while.
Okay.
Shreyas, you can unmute and ask your question if you're there. Shreyas, are you there? Okay, Pritam, go ahead. If he's here, you can ask the question later.
Yeah, I think that was from the previous time that he raised his hand.
Yes, yes. I think he actually asked this question. I don't know. Anyways, Avilash VA, there are 2 questions to you from one from Shalima. I wish to know more about the forum that you were mentioning for getting notifications related to lab vacancies. How much reliable these methods are going to be? This is the first question, and there is another question which is different. How do you plan on prioritizing the mental health?
Okay, I made my manifesto by asking about the problems that was like what affected my own batchmates. So what many of them said was that they did not actually know who to approach for projects or anything of that sort. So I thought it would have been easier for if there was some kind of forum or even an Excel sheet where the professors themselves can update on what new projects they have or the lab vacancies they have. So it becomes easier for the student body to just see the sheet, and if it interests them, they could just mail the professor for that.
And there was another on the mental health issues. I think. How do you plan prioritizing?
So it seems that most people would not directly contact the counselors for what problems they are suffering. So instead of that, I thought of like sending frequent, like I don't know, but Google Forms or some sort, like whether they are suffering from some kind of issues or what they are feeling about that. And I think that it could make ISO more healthy, whether they are on campus or off campus or whatever. And like I want to ask Abhilash one thing. You said about the SC/ST cell and Shabri said about the OPC cell, right? So will that cell also include the caste or the caste specific scholarships that they can avail, so that these cells can actually help them or assist them in availing these scholarships?
So if I may add, I looked up on the UGC website to see what SCST cells do, and first thing they do is ensure that there's proportionate representation through reservation, and second thing is for them is to collect data on how the SCST students are performing, how they're working, are they doing fine, are they dropping out. For example, we filed an RTI, a Kalpa team which I was part of, filed an RTI regarding dropouts based on SCST and OBCs, and we found out that 50% of the dropouts were from STSTs, and a year later the same thing was debated in the Lok Sabha itself, that ISER dropout rates in SCSTs is low. So these are things that the SCST cell is mandated to do. Unfortunately, these are mandated only under UGC or AICTE guidelines. They're not straight under the MHRD where ISER falls in. So we want to take this up as a matter of activism and not as a matter of just following other guidelines. And yeah, we should ensure that they get scholarships as well, because there are scholarships, post-metric scholarships that the central government offers that are supposed to reach the students monthly. And also, yeah, monitoring. Those are the activities that the SCST cell will take up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree with Abhilash, and whatever he says, I have nothing more to add. He has covered the relevant points.
So there's this whole document, one by UGC and one by AICTE, to handle SCST cells and what they're supposed to do, their special functions, reporting. Mostly their job is to ensure representation, report, and also ensure that no discrimination happens on campus. So ISER has a reservation cell which performs only the one of the 4 tasks that I mentioned, but they've not been active outside there, and quite frankly, we don't know how they're working.
Anyways, cool. Moving on, there is a question to Rahana also. Just a minute. So how do you plan on increasing communication among students and among fellow council members?
Pathak, there's a lot of static hits from your side.
I heard there was a lot of static disturbance from your side.
We can't hear you now. Anyways, I think there's some problem.
You could put your answer in the chat if you're not able to speak right now.
Yes, and we'll just read it out. You can just type it. Anyways, is there any other question in the chat?
Yeah, there's one more. It's sort of a continuation of the same question that was for Aharna, but I think this is for all the candidates. One issue that several of us have faced in the past 1 year, independent of the council's presence, is the lack of replies from the administration regarding often highly pertinent issues. One notable example would be the repeated reminders from the SE regarding the mail sent from the 2018 batch regarding the flawed grading system. Another example is regarding mails sent out issues in pre-registration and release of grades in our last 2 semesters. It often appears as if our mails are getting ignored, even during periods close to crucial deadlines. How do you intend to make these often key sensitive issues don't get brushed under the carpet? Carpet.
I really like it. I would really like if someone who hasn't spoken yet takes up this question. Anurag, maybe, or Himanshu.
Dhruv, if you would like to take up this question.
Yes, anyone who hasn't spoken. No, anyways, then whoever wants to take up.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh.
Yeah, sure. So the question basically said that multiple times they have mailed the administration independent of the student council's interference regarding multiple issues of very high importance, and they have often been ignored. So what is your plan with respect to, say, making these issues go, noticed, or making the communication easier, especially during, such emergent conditions?
Well, if the administration doesn't respond in time, I think the best way to go is to talk to one of the faculty members, whichever course you're undertaking. You just coordinate with the faculty member and you see what's wrong. Like, is your issue like not approachable, or they are not like giving you feedback on time? So I think that's the first place. And if the faculty member also doesn't do anything, which is very less likely, yeah, you can approach the student council then.
I would like to
So may I go on this?
Let Anurag.
No one else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said in the interview also, like there are many of the issues which are unheard, or the students feel like it is being ignored. So I think we can have a common platform like the student council's website, but the website needs to be properly analyzed, and it needs to be really properly organized also, that what are the issues. First of all, we should be the student councils. If we get elected, we need to be known that what is the mass problem what students are being facing. We'll analyze it and put forward to the concerned authorities, and so that the steps need to be taken very fast. So that, and students also need to be very much they need to be made transparent, that what are the issues about which the decisions have to be taken already, and what are the issues what are being undergoing, and what steps that we are taking. So I think we also need to be very transparent to the students, and also they should get a common platform so that they can come up with their views even after mailing so many times. I think, yes, that's it from my side.
I think that filtering those emails would solve like a major problem. So if it's academics evaluation related, then we can filter them and send to concerned bodies and send repeated reminders, and also convey this info to the students by the town. Like last time when the 2020 batch mailed about this falling GPAs, the admin kind of ensured that this improvement exam is had. But this wasn't our suggestion. So I think that these issues can only be addressed in the Senate meeting, and also by sending multiple reminders. And Anurag just now said that like you should consult the faculty if you have any issues related to grading or evaluation. So I actually tried to consult faculty. They said that you should talk to admin because these technical issues we aren't.
Yeah. So like I was part of the group that even wrote the mail which we sent it, and the mails that were mentioned like about the grading system from the 2018 batch. I was part of the team that wrote it also, and these were like sent through the council. So we really do not know complete updates of it. And like one of the main points in my manifesto, and like I reiterated here, that the first step will be to like release the white paper on all the what are the issues are pending and like why these were not resolved and like why did they get any reply and like what was the follow-up done. So I reiterate that that will be the first course of action. So the first point is to like ensure that like we keep the students updated, like the general student body updated on like what's the status of a given issue. So when the rest of the admin itself is aware that like we are updating them, they would also say like have a incentive to work more like at a faster manner, at a faster pace. So when we ourselves are not communicating, the student council itself is not communicating. So this kind of gives them time to like say a prolonged decision. So that itself will go a long way in like getting them to take decisions fast. So the other key thing is to keep sending them reminders as much as possible. So that's honestly speaking, the most things at ISET get done like that. Like if you, there's a threshold of reminders that has to be sent, and like once you reach that, like things happen. So beyond that, we would really need to figure out based on the report we are going to, which I promised to come up if I'm elected. So the white paper which I'm going to, based on that, we might know really where are the loopholes or like where are the blocks where decisions get delayed, and then we can come up with more specific solutions as to how to get people to get these issues resolved fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just
one
I
of the
want to
things
add.
that sure. Yeah, so I'll go first. Yeah. So one of the things, like there's a particular thresholds of email that are supposed to be like, that is a shortcoming of the council. We can't just like back on it. Yeah, that's a thing that the students should do, and then things get happen. I think that is a shortcoming that we should fix on. And secondly, I think that the Google Forms and spreadsheets are a good way to like relay our inconveniences. But I guess what the thing behind a Google Form is that there is no actually two-way interaction between the council members and the students. So like the lack of interaction leads to the lack of me standing up to like, yeah, I am not responsible for that kind of thingy. So I think an actual front-to-front basis with the student council and the student body would actually be good. Like, of course, we can't just keep them having regularly. So probably we can, like, if most of the second years are going to vote for a second year, if it's like, or fourth year going to vote for fourth year, we can probably keep it like on a weekly basis. The first week of the month, the second year of the representatives can actually have a meeting with all the whole batch, and then they can actually address their grievances and why weren't they done thingy. Then the second week, the second batch, the third, then the fourth, and the fifth can take that. So that would not only just like keep in like a system for actual regular meetings, but that will also bring the candidates face to face with the students. So like they can't hide behind a Google form now.
I mean, but I don't think we need to segregate it by weeks. We can just have all the 5 years every week.
Yeah, like I guess the week thing is just to like keep it more regularly basis for more pressing issues.
Sure.
Yeah. So just to clarify, like when I said like when I was talking about the reminders, I was talking about reminders sent from the council to the administration. So yes, like we could think of ways to get admin to like be more fast in responding to mail, but I don't think like that's something like I mean, it's not an inefficiency with the council itself, like admin responding only after a threshold of mails being sent, reminders being sent. So it was not, I was not referring to any email being sent by students themselves, but like I was specifically referring to the reminders being sent by the council to the administration.
It's a limitation
because
of the power. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, because it is my say from my opinion. I mean, it's my opinion based on like the information I have. Like not sufficient reminders were sent to the administration from the council itself. So that's my opinion. So I think like first the council has to act on it. Like so to make sure that the council has done in the maximum it can. So later on, we can think of, say, like empowering the council so that like we can even say question the administration if it doesn't reply within a period or something. But that's given the current power of the council, and I mean, as outlined by the constitution, I don't think we can hold the administration accountable in like very strong ways. Yeah.
Yeah,
Abhilash, go ahead. Yeah.
it's true. It's a limitation of the powers of the council. And I think I wrote about this in my article very recently, that you can't take more power than the body that sanctions you power. So that's the paradox here. So what we can do is, so we have representation in some committees. So, but unfortunately, academic committee is still invited, but we can ask ourselves to be invited. I mean, nobody's stopping you from asking anything. We can ask ourselves to be invited. And Senate, we have representation. It is in the act by the Parliament of India that Senate should have 2 student members. So always we have representation in the Senate. So there's one way we can go through this. So our whole course of action should be escalating this. It shouldn't be just reminding them. It should be escalating. You should, first you email the dean, he doesn't respond. You would remind him, he doesn't respond. You take it up to the Senate. And at one point, I think the director, when he joined the institute, he had a meeting with us second years, and he sort of had us give our suggestions to him, and he sort of implemented it in the year next. For example, the 1.5 year introductory courses was an idea that our batch put forward, because we have 2 years of introductory courses. So he did take up our suggestions. So we can just friendly ask for a meeting and just put up our issues there. So we should escalate it, is what I feel.
Kunjal, you had something to add, and this is the last comment we are going to take.
I'm sorry, what?
You had something to add. I saw it. Putting up my.
No, I just
Chinmay
agreed with
had
We have a
something to add.
comment from Aharna. She put it up in the chat. I can just read it out. She said, just one second. I'm sorry, I lost it. I'll just read it out. She said, just read this out. Make the council website more interactive. I think most candidates this time are willing to work on better communication with student body, which is a good sign. Having a way to track issues being discussed and personal complaints, as Sabrish mentioned earlier, would also be great to work on, and definitely having more town hall meets among the council and the student body. That's what she mentioned in the chat section. So over to you, Pritam. I think we can wrap this up.
Akilan has raised his hand.
Yes, Akilan, you can go.
If you want to go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Just feel like brought about an important point, like he said, like hiding behind a Google form. Like I had a suggestion, I put it up. Yeah, I had sent it across through mail also. So I'll just say it now. So what happens is, like with like say sending emails or Google forms, it happens on an individual basis. Like I need to first initiate a discussion in my class, and then I need to draft an email and send it across. So instead of that, like why don't we have a platform which like where you can raise issues, like a Discord server or a Zeolib server, or a Facebook group or whatever. There are like millions of options just to raise issues instead of mails or though mails, Google Forms and downloads are good, but this wouldn't work as efficient as this, because over here the students itself can communicate, you can exchange ideas, you can comment. And also, like, one important thing, it reduce the workload on the council itself, what I think, because now you don't have to do deliberation, like go through deliberation, discussion, priority, etc. It already happens. You just take a smaller fraction of decisions and then just go ahead and represent. So would such a change be possible?
Can
What
I
are your
address
opinions?
this?
Yeah, Abhilash, go.
So we use Google Forms for 2 reasons. One is that they give us good statistics, and the second is that we need things on paper more than on Facebook posts or anything. So we consider, usually ICER considers a result of a Google form properly sanctioned, so and as on paper. So it's considered a formal structure in ICER. So we do that. Secondly, I love your idea of having a platform, but here's what happens. If you open a WhatsApp group saying suggest problems, or open a WhatsApp group for anything, one person will put a message at 1820, another person will put a message at 1940, and you will get 200 messages at 2100. and at 6 a.m. in the morning you'll have like 3 messages, and the discussion, there's no time limit, so it's logistical constraint that we use Google Forms as well. But I am totally open to your idea. In fact, we can have Facebook pages, Discord servers, any form of discussion of student issues. We can have it batch wise. We can have a Discord server with many groups with each batch, each issue, something like that. Because earlier we in 2019, late 2019, we were in a motion to reduce the funds in central universities, and we sort of organized in the campus for that, and that was a WhatsApp group, and it worked out pretty well. So your idea is pretty fine. I think you've checked out my document as well. So this is what we do in Disha. We sort of put up an idea, people put up their ideas just like my document, and on comments they debate, and I think that's a very healthy platform. So I love your idea. I'll take it up.
So I actually have a difference of opinion here. Like, though it's a good idea to have like WhatsApp groups or like any forum where like everyone can debate or discuss among themselves. Even take a class group. Like, I think like it's only a small set of students who actually end up talking. So, however, like when a Google form is sent out, like there is definitely a greater number of people who answer, and like this is basically personal preference from the point of students, and like not all students feel like safe or comfortable talking or like putting their opinions in front of a larger crowd, and like this is even more true in case of more sensitive issues. So I think like Google Forms are really necessary. So in addition to Google Forms, maybe we can consider like WhatsApp or some things. So I think Google Forms are like, say, something like a ticketing system, which I've been talking about, like which you generally have to for like resolving hostel issues or something like that. That is basically where like if individuals have a problem, you can go approach, and rather than having to write like long mails or like having for the council to wait to send out a Google form, a ticketing system. If you have a problem and a suggestion, you can go and like say like put it out there. So something of that issue, I mean, something of that sort can be there, and like say people can anonymously add suggestions or something like that. But I think like in addition to these things, Google Forms are necessary. So like people prefer anonymity to even like give their suggestions and like voice their disagreements on issues. So I think that would so Google Forms are necessary. Yeah.
No, actually, okay, maybe I might have framed it wrong. Okay. Did someone want to say something?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, in addition to anonymity, we also have, I think Google Forms have wider reach, like Sabarish said, like more people will be comfortable filling, not just because of the anonymous thing, but also because there is one extra step involved in going to this forum and talking about things. Like, what about people who don't use that particular forum? But Google Forms are some sort of like everyone uses it, at least at ICER, even like professors send it out or the institute sends it out. So I think it would have a greater reach as compared to any other forum. Like obviously we can have that in addition to the Google form, but I think Google form is like absolutely necessary.
Okay, yeah, I do.
I feel that
So I would like to point
Google
out that using like another platform like WhatsApp or something, it's harder to moderate, and the number of trolls like increases, and also many people don't tend to not take it seriously. So Google Forms are like better.
Okay. One thing I'll quickly clarify. Actually, okay, maybe I would have phrased it that way, but it is these like whatever the Discord server is not going to like replace Google Forms. It's going to be an additional mode of interaction. This just like we have town hall meetings, right? It's going to be another mode of interactions. This could be like efficient. Like let's say today we have a discussion. Now we might have to wrap up in 15 minutes or whatever. Okay, but then this kind of discussions can go for days. More people can get involved. Just for discussions. That's not going to replace Google Forms or replace emails.
Sure. That already
Sure.
happens.
I think that's fine with us, but like I would like to stress that like I wouldn't consider say like I would rather rely more on the Google. I would personally myself not even talking about the ICER administration, but like myself on the opinions and suggestions in the Google form rather than say a discussion or a deliberation that happens in the Discord server, because I think from the experience I've heard, like it's only a very subset of students who actually end up debating. It's not really the voice of all students. So if priority has to be given, or like if one has to be prioritized, I think like I would go with the Google form because my assumption is that you will have a lot of greater number of people speaking there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree. You can give preference, but then there should be like, we say we have a town hall meeting, let's say every 1 month or 2 months. I don't know what's the thing. This could stay like permanently, and I think are always there. It doesn't have to end by the end of the week.
I think that like what Akilan was saying about the Discord server, the main purpose of the Discord server is not to take the decisions, but to bring the decisions, those suggestions into light.
Exactly,
like we're not going to decide ki, this is the decision that the council is going to take based on a Discord server. It will be an actual meeting, but a Discord server can actually act as a platform to bring these situations into light. So like if it's a really pressing issue, we can just have a VC at that point and like get it done with or get more opinions on that. I think it's not like an ultimatum, it's a additional platform to bring these this into light.
Exactly.
And also like you can also, there are many settings on Discord. You can enable slow mode, so that'll get rid of spam and stuff like that. And Discord servers will also add a bit of accountability and also transparency. We can also let the whole student body know of what actions have been taken that week, etc., etc., etc. And also, you have the council member in front of you on the Discord server, and that you're talking to them, maybe in a VC, maybe on chat, whatever. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea, and it doesn't have to. I don't see why it has to be like the Google Forms on the Discord server or anything have to be mutually exclusive. They can just coexist. So yeah, it's.
Thank you.
I just summarize that having an additional forum is not a harm, it's never a harm. So it's okay, but you cannot replace Google Forms also. That most of us have to agree. Anyways, I guess it's 8:40 already. We'll wrap up. It's long enough. Sai sir, I'll like to ask permission from Sai sir on behalf of the Election Commission to wrap up this full meeting.
Yeah, thanks to all the candidates and the voters for coming and discussing the matter, which is the manifesto that each of the candidate has, and also the issues that the student body faces right now at IISER Pune. And I think that's something would be better if the community grows bigger, the community that discusses grows bigger. I would like to specifically thank Kalpa, who have actually taken a lot of effort right from bringing actually I should say campaigning for elections, candidates actually, and then now for nominations, and now taking it forward to having this or organizing this meeting. And thanks to all of you. Can I make one of you as the host so that you can save it? Because I'm not sure if you are the co-host, whether you will get the recording saved in your machine or not. Do you know if it gets saved or not? Because I'm not sure about my machine.
Right now,
Zoom recording.
Sorry, yeah, right now I'm recording it on my computer, so I think
okay,
it will
great.
just
Okay,
save
then.
to my system.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Okay, then. So is there anything else that we need to discuss, or shall we wrap up?
No, I guess we should wrap.
Yeah, that's great.
Sir,
okay,
just
maybe,
before you go, one sec.
Nothing on the manifesto or the
Nothing.
agenda
Yeah, just a small request to extend campaigning by 2 days because we started very late.
I'll discuss this with the committee and get back because 2 days would be 2nd of September, which is then leaves us with close to 36 hours before election.
Last year it was 1 day before election.
So I will discuss with the committee and get
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye then.
Bye. Thank you, sir.